press slash press slash press slash press slash. For over 30 years, the last sword strike in any Legend of Zelda game has been the final punctuation mark in the adventure book, the last player input that brings closure to all the hardships they've undertaken in terms of gameplay. Before the final cutscene plays and the credits roll at the end of the story is the last boss battle between Link and the villain, which is usually a great culmination of everything the player has learned throughout the journey when it comes to combat. And so that final sword swing is an important one and a worthy end to the gameplay loop. It's gameplay closure. But when it comes to story, while this final button press may have the illusion of saving the day, the glory of saving the world and the princess is really given to each game's development team, as they let their cutscenes and dialogue carry these final emotional moments, void of any player influence. It's a tension that has plagued the wider video game scene since the beginning, as developers try to reconcile both the active role of gameplay with the passive role of storytelling. So while a gameplay closure might exist in the formula that is the Zelda experience, the door to emotional closure is left wide open, as the two components never fully intersect in that final moment, leaving instead an aftertaste that feels like sorrow instead of joy, even though the world's been saved. But Tears of the Kingdom does something that other games in the Zelda series don't, in that it shifts the focus from the desire for gameplay closure to emotional closure. The story of Tears begins with a great reach between Link and Zelda, as the cave they're exploring shakes from an awakening evil, sending Zelda plummeting into the darkness. Link is unsuccessful in grabbing her, and so the emotional hook of the story centers around a sense of failure, as both Link and Zelda try to find their way back to each other.
Where am I?
From the outset, the usual save the princess trope is murky at best, as Zelda isn't so much a damsel in distress as much as she's working on her end to solve her own problem. What's more, the recurring pattern of dialogue in the story isn't centered around saving Zelda as much as it's about finding her.
You must find me.
And a good majority of conversations when meeting characters is dedicated to this idea of discovering her whereabouts. It's a mystery that stirs at the heart of the story and, in turn, the heart of the player as well. If you end up chasing this mystery, you'll spend some time finding the memories scattered across Hyrule, each one showing Zelda from somewhere in the past trying to find her way back to the present and back to Link. What this ends up leading to is the discovery that Zelda made a choice in the past to transform herself into the immortal Light Dragon, the same dragon you've been watching from a distance for the entirety of the playthrough. When this discovery finally happens, the realization that you've been in the presence of the person you've been searching for clicks into place for a unique video game moment where the symbolic meaning placed on an object changes through active exploration and discovery. This isn't the first time a Zelda story has done this type of twist, and each time the realization charges the rest of the playthrough with a different energy. Tears of the Kingdom is no different, and now that the mystery of Zelda's whereabouts is solved, the goal now shifts to attempting to reach her, and maybe even restore her to her true self. And all of this leads to the final boss battle. The last fight of the story takes place in the sky above Hyrule, as Link and the Light Dragon herself work together to take down the Demon Dragon. At the end of the fight, the book is closed on the gameplay journey, as Link delivers that final punctuation mark into the skull of the dragon, what the developers clearly label as the final attack. But the true magic of Tears lies in what happens next, because for the first time ever, this final sword strike isn't the final player input. After the demon dragon is destroyed, Zelda's body is restored and begins a downward plummet to the surface. In a game about trying to reach Zelda, this final moment swells with an emotional energy, as Link's last great challenge involves a physical reach towards her. When considering the scope of the adventure behind Link, with all its traversal and combat and problem solving, this moment in scale is a small one, a sliver of a moment compared to the epic heights of the journey behind. But it's a scene unparalleled when sizing up the game's more passionate moments. It's a moment void of monsters or violence or complexity, just a simple scene between two characters who, after hours and hours of being pulled apart, are finally brought back together. After triggering the reach prompt, the final player input appears on screen, grab, Link's final action in his quest to reach Zelda that mirrors his moment of failure in the beginning. This chance for redemption is the final full stop of the story. It's a series first, where the game finishes with emotional closure.